Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Farming Chefs. Today I'm going to bring you a very nutritious postpartum soup from Korea that it's called miyeok-guk. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. If I'm not, I'm very sorry. But we're going to adjust a little bit to the Mediterranean style, but I'll show you what.
Hi folks, we're Sophie and Filipe, two professional chefs and regenerative farmers on a mission to empower people to grow, cook and preserve nutrient-dense, regeneratively grown, delicious food. We bring you how-to recipes, stories that bridge the gap between the land and our plates, sprinkled with a pinch of humor and lots of grit. After a wildfire burned down much of our farm and with a baby on the way, we're working hard to rebuild our lives. Join us for some honest cooking, regenerative living and fun farm-to-table courses and retreats.
I'm going to adapt it to the Mediterranean because I cannot get good enough seaweed here. That's the main ingredient of this dish. Seaweed is a highly nutritious food, but because we're not using it, I will substitute it for two different fishes to equal it. These fish are fresh anchovies, fresh mackerel. They are very high in phosphorus, omega-3 and iodine. Alongside the fish, the other ingredients are garlic, beef stock, fennel and rice. All of this has a purpose, but we will get there in a minute. First thing I will do, I'm going to cube the beef to brown it in the pan. I'm going to introduce the beef into a dry pan so I can get a nice brown color out of it. I'm going to add a very tiny little bit of salt into the meat before she's cooked. While we're browning the meat, I'm going to also start cutting the fennel in pieces. And as soon as the meat is brown, we're going to add the stock into it. This soup is very beneficial because it supports recovery from blood loss, thyroid regulation, lactation and digestion during a period of high physiological demand. It's time to add the broth into the meat. We're going to add around 1 liter or 4 cups. If you want to learn how to make this delicious broth, check the previous video. Regardless of using the seaweed or the fish, this soup must be a beef broth base because it is high in nutrients. The heat and long cooking improves the mineral and protein bioavailability, as well as supporting a proper digestion. I'm going to let it come into a boil and then I'm going to add the garlic into it and then I'm going to let it simmer for around 20 minutes before I put the fennel into it. I'm going to start cooking the rice. For this rice, I'm going to use a splash of olive oil first. I'm going to introduce 500 grams or 1 pound of rice into the pan. So we're going to fry the rice a little bit until it gets a little bit more translucent. The rice is ready. I'm going to add water. The water that I'm going to add is boiling. And probably you're asking how much water I'm going to add. I'm going to add exactly the same amount of water that I had of rice. So I add this cup of rice. I'm going to add this cup of water. I'm going to let it simmer until all the water is evaporated. We're going to go back to the broth. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the foam that appears when you cook the meat. So I'm going to take that out and then I'm going to introduce the garlic into it. The best time to eat this soup is in the first 6 weeks. In Korea, they even have this seaweed version every day throughout this period of time. This soup is not only for postpartum women, but also for elderly people. Of course, the garlic is going to add a lot of flavor into the soup, but all anti-inflammatory and antibacterial properties that it has. let the broth simmer for another 10 minutes and now we're gonna go into the fish. I'm gonna start with the anchovies, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pan fry them in a little bit of olive oil. I've added baking paper into the pan and the oil is on top of it, so the fish doesn't stick into the bottom of the pan. Rice is done. I replaced the seaweed with anchovies and mackerel because they were the two freshest fatty fish I could find in the local market at this time of the year. In principle, this Korean tradition is supported by modern science. Iodine deficiency impairs thyroid function and lactation. Iron and protein support recovery from blood loss. Warm liquid meals improve tolerance under stress. Omega-3s reduce inflammatory load. I'm gonna fillet the mackerel now and pan fry it. Been 10 minutes since I added the garlic to the broth. Now I'm gonna add the fennel and we're gonna give it another round of 10 minutes and then the soup is done to eat. Since I still have 10 minutes to go, I'm gonna make a quick fast salad and we're gonna use lambs here, feta cheese, sesame seed and olive oil and vinegar. It's time to plate it up. So I plated the dishes. Sophie's at the bed. Today is room service day. Room service. If you want to check the recipe, check this link. And if you want to join us in Portugal for our retreats, check this link. Mama is going to eat now.
Farm chefs.